got out of the service, I worked for the government, you know, as a test pilot on various different particular aircraft. While I did that particular activity, I was asked if I would mind working on some simulators, and I thought that was a good idea, good for my future, so I did. We were then reassigned. It was just not myself. There were several other fellows like myself, engineers, that were reassigned to certain companies here in the United States on the various different simulators that they were making for the various new aircrafts that they were building. For example, you know, the F-89, F-94, and F-102, and a group of others. We spent probably close to 3.5, 4 years just in training on simulators, and just exactly, you know, how a simulator, an actual simulator for these aircraft worked, you know, and the new designs as they came along. After they thought that we were trained sufficiently, then we were asked to do another project, which was more or less in my field as mechanical design. That was to join metal together without glue, nuts, you know, or any adhesives, so forth, you know, for aircraft purposes. The indication was to make the aircraft lighter. Okay. This course was several years going on. In the meantime, of course, security classifications were going on, you know, as far as we were concerned, and just the individuals that were going to work on these particular projects before going to the actual facility where I had done this activity. We developed this particular process of joining this material. It took quite some time, over a period of about 4 years. And then it was indicated to us that we'd go on a special project in New Mexico, which we did. And it was about 3 or 4 years after we had gotten there that we found out that these were simulators that we would be engineers on simulators for flying discs. There was one particular project I worked on associated with that disc was several years, of course. It's very time-consuming in a translation of scientific data as provided to us by the grays, a specific type of gray. As this information was given to our scientists and various different engineers that we had no association with, but they were doing what they call a copy engineering. The copy engineering was a process where they had taken an item or a portion of the craft, and they were disassembling it, writing their procedures, and identifying certain things as they took it apart and how it related to from their science to our science, and could we use that. I spoke in a little lecture here a while back that no average pilot could fly a flying disc because it was so complicated and so foreign to the individual pilot that there would be no way that he'd be able to hop in one, even if they gave it to him and said, here, fly this. Consequently, what we did, we took their avionics and transferred it to our science and our technology and used the avionics that we know of as far as aircraft is concerned. The basic principles in all this, as far as the avionics was concerned, was no different than a regular aircraft that we have. If you understand that, say for example, a fighter aircraft, it's much different than a flying disc. There were certain situations that we had to resolve, and basically we only looked at a couple different things because the flying disc only flies in about 3 different positions, and that is at 65 degrees, flat horizontal, and possibly vertical. But it was very difficult to fly vertical. The avionics that we developed for that was for the 65 degrees, pitch and yaw, and flat flight.
Did you ever see a disc by yourself?
I saw a disc from a distance.
Can you describe
Not
it?
up close.
Can you describe
If I was describing a disc for you so you'd understand what we're looking at, if you did see the Bob Lazar poster, very, very similar. This facility I was worked at is I'd say, as far as secrecy is concerned, is much tighter than possibly even Nellis here and some of the other facilities, you know, in this country. The entrance and the locations and the scenario on say, hey guys, you know, here this is, you know, this is what the ship looks like. It's okay. That's what the ship looks like. As far as entering the ship, no. But that was a disc.
How far away was it?
Oh, well, I was, say, 10 or 15 feet away.
Was it flying or standing on the ground?
It was just sitting on the ground, on its belly.
What did you feel in the moment when you saw it? What was your impression of it?
I had, my impression was, as an engineer, was just great.
Have you ever seen any aliens?
We were introduced to grays that were associated with the project, but they were, I could say that in the time that I spent, maybe I've seen the grays a half a dozen times or more, but no more than 10 times, I think. But they were on, the reason that we saw them was actually for us to get used to being associated with them, okay? It's no different than, say, going to Africa and seeing a bunch of pygmies and, you know, looking at those people for a while, and then, you know, this is a little different than that, but it's the same situation where you're seeing something that's a little bit different than us sitting in this room, you know, talking right now, with their features and their makeup and that kind of thing.